everyone! It's Iris MABANTA, your Echo Angel from Pasig City! So, while I'm waiting for viewers, let me just share this live stream to my Facebook page and, so that my friends and family can see. So, while we're waiting for that, if anybody's watching now, please do comment down your questions below. I'll get to my introduction again later, and I'm here to talk about all things Miss Philippines Earth, all things environmental issues and things that's going on with the environment right now, and my advocacy, and just get to know me a little bit better. So give me a moment to just share this for a little bit. So while I'm waiting for viewers, let me just share this live stream to my Facebook page, and so that I can hear it. Hold on. All right. So, again, if you have questions, don't forget to comment down below. I'm so excited, you guys. I love doing these live streams. I love answering your questions. And, it's a little back and forth between me and people that is really... That's, I just love it. I just love it. I know, I could hear myself. Hold on. Alright, I've just shared it. So, okay, now that I've shared it, we can now proceed. Sorry for all the mishaps earlier, I find it funny too. Do you guys like the way I did my hair? It took me like an hour to do all these things. The baby hair trend right now, it's really hard. Okay, anyway. So my name is Iris MABANTA, and I am your Echo Angel from Pasig City. So I'm Miss Philippines Earth Pasig City this year for the pageant, and my advocacy is addressing environmental issues through science and research. Now, why did I pick that advocacy? Well, fun fact, I'm actually a registered chemist. I'm a licensed chemist. I graduated BS Chemistry in the University of Santo Tomas in 2018, and that same year I also passed the licensure exam to be a chemist. So I am first and foremost a scientist myself. I have worked in UP Diliman to do research, and I was under this wonderful mentor and wonderful, brilliant scientist, renowned scientist here in the Philippines. And when I was working in UP Diliman, I saw that there was a lapse between the science community and the masses. If you hear meowing, that's my cat. So yeah, just don't mind him, he just wants some attention, but right now my attention is with you guys. So anyway, I saw the lapses. We lack so much technology, we lack so much resources, and definitely we lack funding. And it's such a shame because all the environmental studies that we do will be for nothing, because we can't proceed with studies if we don't have the resources, the technology, and etc. So I definitely want to uplift the science community so that we can help the scientists more, and we can address environmental issues through science and research, because who really is looking for the solutions to issues about the environment? It really is the scientists. And if I really believe that through science and research is the way towards the future. Alright, so with that, I can already see questions here. Why should you be the next Miss Earth? From Mark Kalakday. Hello, Mark Kalakday. Thank you for that question. So I actually love answering this question when I get asked. It's because I believe that I have the capabilities to be able to address environmental issues as Miss Earth. I don't, it's not just that I'm a scientist, but the fact that I am a scientist means I have access to knowledge and to research, and I have access to the scientific community so that we can grow together as a nation and we can improve on our daily lives through science and research. And I always say that scientists are on the front lines against the battle for climate change. And that is true. Scientists really are the ones who are lifting us up from climate change. I am so sorry about my cat. But yeah, so my advocacy again is addressing environmental issues through science and research. So that's why I believe that me being a chemist and me being a scientist, I really do have the capabilities to to be able to uphold that title of Miss Earth. So, because for me, it's not about winning, it's what I'm able to do once I do have that crown. For me, the achievement isn't the crown, the achievement is what I'm able to do with the platform that I'll be able to have. So I really do believe that I have what it takes to be the next Miss Philippines Earth. I mean, look at Miss Karen Ibasco. She is a queen. She's a scientist herself. And really, how do we address environmental issues? It really is through science and research. Science and nature go hand in hand always. You can't understand nature without science, and that is why I'm really pushing forward for more scientific programs here in the Philippines, and especially here in my city in Pasig. Okay, I think Dutch, it has sort of the same question as the first one, so I guess I answered that already. Ano meron ka na wala ang mga Miss Earth title holder? Oh, okay, I get it. My bad. So what other Miss Earth title holders don't have is the fact that I'm a chemist. Yes, Miss Karen Ibasco is a scientist, but she is a physicist. For me, it's all about the tiny molecules. It's how I see the chemicals and all the interactions within nature and within species, and really down to the atomic size. And as a physicist, it's chemistry and physics are actually really close-knit together, but I think as a chemist myself, that is also an advantage. And if I can work with Miss Karen Ibasco herself, it would be amazing that a physicist and a chemist are working together to address environmental issues and really push forward for the environmental and the science community. And okay, we have here, pa-shout out po, Adrian Expectacion. Hi Adrian, do you have any questions for me? Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And here we have Angelina Rees. What's your advocacy? Hi Angelina. So let me reiterate my advocacy. And my advocacy is addressing environmental issues through science and research. And through that, I also want to be the voice of Filipino scientists so that Filipino scientists can have their work published and heard even louder. We have here a page that's kind of like a play on Catriona Gray's name. It's Catriona with a K and then Gray. Hi Queen Iris. Hello Catriona Gray. I like that you said Gray. It's really fun. And we have your friends Ivan. Hi Morris. How are you? Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate the support. Oh, we have another page here. Crowns and Titles PH. How does ecotourism contribute to the protection of the environment? So, with ecotourism, you have the environment in your mind when you go places. And that is why, hence the term ecotourism. So, with a lot of tourist places, sometimes the environment isn't kept in mind. And, you know, with other tourist places, the trash and the waste is not really managed properly, and it's just thrown into oceans and landfills, and you know, it's irresponsibly thrown away. So with ecotourism, it's able to protect the environment by, you know, providing tourist spots at the same time protecting the environment that you are in. So, you know, it's a win-win situation actually, because if you have a wonderful environment where your tourist spot is, then you have more tourists coming in and, you know, at the same time save the environment. Hello, Nicole Mostrales. How are you? I miss you, girl. Thank you so much for watching. Okay, another question from Catriona Gray. Hey, I really like pronouncing that. Which do you think is a better strategy to encourage people to be environmentally conscious? Give incentives for good environmental practice. Oh, there's my cat. Or penalize bad eco habits? This is a wonderful question, and I bet it's been asked so many times. And I would also have to agree with the majority that it's better to give incentives. It's like the nature versus nurture. It's really better to give rewards for people that do good deeds for the environment, because they get more encouraged to do the same things again and again for the environment. And I really love that. So let's say let's take it in the example in school. You know how we get rewards like stars and a good job stamp at the end of the day because we did something good, and the next day we want to do it again. So it's kind of like that, and I feel like if a lot of people are given more incentives for doing well and for protecting the environment, then we are encouraged to do so again and again and create a better world and really form a habit out of doing the right thing. Alright, thank you so much for that question. Thank you guys for watching. Oh, we have a question here from Angelina Rees. Who's your favorite Miss Earth? So, I've been talking about her already, but my favorite Miss Earth is Miss Karen Ibasco because she is a scientist herself. I can't stress this enough, but I really do believe that science is the way to address the future and to address environmental issues. Without science, we wouldn't be able to understand how the environment works and nature works. So I love that Miss Karen Ibasco is a physicist herself, a medical physicist at that. So she really knows excuse me. So she really knows what, all the intricate details about, certain biological aspects that happen in nature, which is interesting because she can then apply that to her field and she can then apply that as Miss Earth and she can preach whatever she knows to the masses. And that is also what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to push for more education about the science community here in our country, and also to push forward environmental studies so that we can have a better environment. It's really urgent right now that we prioritize a lot of environmental studies because of how we are going about our daily lives. We can clearly see that human activity is the culprit towards the destruction of our environment. We saw that with less human activity during the quarantine, that skies were getting clearer and the air quality was getting better. So with less human activity, it means a better environment. But that's not how we want it. Of course, we want to go about our daily lives. And that is why it would be better if we could go to alternative resources of energy like solar power, wind, and hydropower. And it's wonderful because renewable sources of energy, we don't have to depend on other countries just to be able to harness that energy. We have them right here. Moving forward, it would be really wise if we invested in a lot of infrastructure that depends on renewable energy so that we don't harm the environment anymore. I wish that we could encourage more people to change the way things are and not just go about the way things are right now, because we already know that that is what's harming the environment. So with that said, I hope that we can move forward and invest more on renewable sources of energy. We have here a question from Rafael Jimenez. Hello, Rafael. How are you? Thank you for your question. If you could speak to Mother Earth, what message would you like to say? If I could speak to Mother Earth, the first thing I would say is, on behalf of the human race, I am deeply sorry for everything that we have done. We know how much we are harming you, and yet we still continue to do it. And if there was something that I can do to convince each and every person in the world to really think about her first before doing anything else, then that would be my goal. But as of right now, I'm trying to do it one step at a time, small steps, and really go for education amongst the people to uplift the scientific community so that we can have more data to be able to save our Mother Earth. So yeah, that's what I would say to Mother Earth. I'm deeply, deeply sorry for what we are putting you through, and I hope that we can grow wiser as a human race and as her children. Okay, we have here another question from Chabelito. That's such a cute name. There are many people, including some notable international leaders, who still do not believe in climate change. How would you convince them about the seriousness of this problem? So, I actually address this a lot. It's interesting because there is actually a natural climate change to the Earth. That's why there's the ice age, and then there's hot phases there's hot periods of time, and then it's a back and forth hot and cold. It's supposed to be that way. But the trouble is, that's why climate change is a real thing, is because there's this phenomenon called man-made climate change, and that is what's happening. We are producing way too much heat that the Earth is not able to keep up with the heat that we are producing, with the carbon emissions that we are producing, and the way that we are harnessing energy from fossil fuels. So I can convince them by just showing them the data, the science behind climate change and why it is real. They think that because climate change is a natural phenomenon, that it isn't an issue, but man-made climate change is the real issue here. I hope I can actually show you a graph, but I'm using my phone right now to take this live. But if I could show you a graph, because like climate change, man-made climate change really started back in the 1800s. And you can really see the heat. It's like way too large for the Earth to be able to handle that. So if you don't already know that, you can Google it. It's really all there in the internet. You can see graphs of climate change throughout the years. It dates back to the beginning of time. So yeah, that's why people think that climate change isn't real. Because there is a natural climate change to the Earth. I hope that, you know, that really opens up your eyes to the phenomenon and the science behind what's happening here on Earth, and why climate change is an issue. So it's really, yeah, like I said, it's really that the heat that we're producing as humans is too much for the Earth, too much for our Mother Earth. Again, Mother Earth, I am so sorry for everything that we are doing. Okay, let me just give shout outs to Dazzling Guy. Hi, beautiful. Hello, Dazzling Guy. And Rico Guarte. Hello, you look pretty. Yeah. Oh, thank you so much. Like I said, I worked hard on these like baby hair thingies that I tried to do. I'm glad that you guys like it. And with the bun, I didn't really want to do my hair, so I just put it up in a bun. But thank you so much. And then Arjun Hermones, well spoken, very articulate. Thank you very much. I think I owe it to the science community because I present a lot of scientific papers to my peers and colleagues, so I'm used to talking with people like this. So, okay, we have another question from Crowns and Titles PH. In what ways can a human be defined as an Earth Warrior? An Earth Warrior is such a broad thing. You know, it can be defined as as many things, but for a woman to be defined as an Earth Warrior, the simplest things can already be done for her to be called an Earth Warrior, and that is just by simply segregating your trash from non-biodegradable to biodegradable. That already does so much help. And the fact that you would keep the environment in mind when you are going about your house, or when the way you are living, simply throwing your trash in the proper place, simply turning off the lights when not in use, that is already considered an Earth Warrior. And you can go as big as joining non-profit organizations that are for climate justice and they are fighting for climate change. So it is a really broad spectrum that you can choose to do what you what you want. I'm so sorry. You can choose to do what you want, and it really depends on your capabilities. If you think you are capable of joining and being active in a nonprofit organization as big as, for example, I'm part of 0 Hour Philippines, and I am a director for partnerships there. I'm in charge of promoting our posts and in charge of making sure that the posts are connected and people are able to see it. So, that myself, for me, it's something that I can call myself as an Earth Warrior because of what I'm able to do. And me joining Miss Philippines Earth, I can already say I'm an Earth Warrior because this is a platform in which the advocacies that we are pushing are for the environment. But like I said, simple everyday things like throwing your trash in the proper place and segregating, and of course using reusable items and not using as much plastics, like single-use plastics, is already something worth being called an Earth Warrior. Okay, another question from Catriona Gray. It's so cute. If you were to save only one of the two elements of Mother Nature, water or air, which would you choose and why? That's such an interesting question. It reminds me of Avatar, The Last Airbender. if I had to choose between two elements. So I think I would rather choose I think I'd rather choose water, because I feel like we humans can evolve to we can develop gills and all that as the air quality gets really bad, and water is the only thing that we can save. We humans have evolved from the times, the theory of evolution, right? So the concept of evolution. So if I were to save water, I think it would be awesome, because we can then evolve to swim underwater, we can then evolve to breathe underwater, and I think that would be actually really fun. Like, how in songs people would always say, in the future we lived underwater, and I guess that's why I would choose water. That's such a fun question. I like that. It reminds me of so many pop culture references. So, okay, we have a question here from Rico Guarte. What most important things you should help on this unexpected war against COVID-19 to convince us to back in normal life again? What important things you should help on this okay. Alright, so what I would take this question in a way that I'm gonna answer and what we should do. How we should proceed so that we can go back to the way things were. But not necessarily the way things were, because there is the concept of the new normal nowadays. So what we can do is definitely take the proper precautions and wear the proper face mask and face shield and gloves so that we can prevent the spread and the infectivity of the virus. Because, this virus has a high infectivity, which is why a lot of people are affected and why it was deemed a global pandemic. So with that said, we really have to take the precautions in protecting ourselves and the people we love, and of course our countrymen. We are already at around 15,000 positive cases, and so many deaths with that number. And it really saddens my heart. So if we want to go back to the way things were, we have to learn from our mistakes. We have to learn to discipline ourselves of the precautions that we have to take. So we can't just go out with masks that are just covering our mouth and not our nose, because it's more transmissible actually when it comes from your mouth and nose. And that's very important why you have to cover your nose. I know it's really hard to breathe in, but that's how we can protect each other. And if you are using cloth masks, remember to double the layer of your cloth masks. Not just one layer, but two. Because one layer is actually ineffective, as by the research from the University of Illinois. See, science really does help. And if you do double layer, it becomes 98% effective against the spread of the virus. So, when you have studies like this at a time like this, it really does help to give you the preventive measures that you need in order to be able to go about your daily life without affecting yourself and the people that you love. So again, please do wear your mask and only go out when you really, really need to. And that is how we can possibly have a more stable life. Because, everything is still hanging in the balance right now, and GCQ is coming up, and, even though GCQ is coming up, we still need to take the proper precautions. I know it means a lot looser rules, but, like I said, the virus is still out there. There's no vaccine. Oh, speaking of that, I actually like to give a shout out to this wonderful Filipino scientist who is actually researching about the antiviral properties of virgin coconut oil against this virus. So, virgin coconut oil can act like soap when you take it in and when you consume it. So it destroys the membrane of the virus and hence destroying the virus. It's really cool actually, and his name is Dr. Fabian Dairit, and I'm really happy that I've met him and that I get to talk to him over email, and he is probably working day and night just to be able to give us the proper data that we need in order to be able to produce the proof that we need in order to say that virgin coconut oil is a wonderful antiviral active ingredient for that. So yeah, if actually you can Google right now the antiviral properties of virgin coconut oil, and you can see a study right away. I urge everybody to please do, because it's such an interesting game changer that we have right now, especially the fact that virgin coconut oil is readily available here in the Philippines. Okay, another question from Chabs. What environmental initiative that world leaders should prioritize? That's very interesting. I've never really favored any environmental initiative. That's why I chose my advocacy of addressing all environmental issues through science and research. But I guess right now the environmental initiative that we should prioritize is really virology right now because of the pandemic. So we need to really have more education and information about where viruses come from, how they are contracted, and how we can combat them. So that is actually an environmental issue because viruses usually come from animals and they mutate when they come to us. So, we're a different species from animals, and therefore we have a different way of reacting to bacteria and all those pathogens. Another question from Crowns. My nose is itchy. It's really the cat hair. I'm sorry, you guys. Anyway, how would the world be different if women were judged solely on their achievements rather than their looks? I feel like a lot more women will be on top of the world if we lived in a world where women are judged solely on their achievements. It's a really hard world out there for women because there's still a lot of stigma behind women being successful, and that's just such a shame because I look up to a lot of Filipino scientists who are women, and I look up to a lot of people who have achieved a lot of things who are women, and it's just such a shame that they have to work twice as hard in order for them to gain the recognition that they deserve. So I feel like if women were judged solely on their achievements, then all the world leaders would probably be women right now. I think women can do anything. We have here a question from James Rico. Hi, James Rico. How are you? Thank you so much for watching. So, question. What is one beautiful thing you have seen during the pandemic? So the one beautiful thing that I've seen during the pandemic is, of course, the fact that our environment is getting better. But I don't like saying that as a benefit. I don't like saying that as something good that's happening because of the virus. I always like to say it that it is a consequence of the virus, because the caveat is that a lot of people are dying and a lot of people are risking their lives every day just for the sake of others. So I guess it's wonderful to say that you see that the skies are getting clearer, the air quality is getting better, but because of the fact that there's less human activity. And it's wonderful to see that because we have now learned that we are the culprit. The way we are living is the culprit to the destruction of our environment. And learning is always a wonderful thing. And with that said, we can move forward by, again, investing in more renewable sources of energy. So yeah, that is the one beautiful thing that I've seen during the pandemic, but it is a lesson rather than something that we should say is benefiting us. Okay, another question from Rico. Do you agree that because of this pandemic, the earth is back to clean air because industries, company mines, sea transpo and air transpo stop for 2 months, so the air is clean in favor to our ozone layer that destroy because of this mentioning above reason, and why? So yeah, like I said, it is because of not really because of the pandemic. It's more of excuse me. It's more of, like I said, it's the consequence of the pandemic. It's because we are at quarantine. It's because there is less human activity. And the fact that there is less human activity is what's causing the skies to become clear and the air quality to get better. So like I said, moving forward, we really have to learn from our mistakes before and make it part of the new normal to be able to invest in infrastructures that harness energy from renewable sources. Okay, another question from Chabs. In the middle of this COVID-19 pandemic, how is winning the Miss Philippines Earth crown relevant? Ooh, I really like your question. So, during this pandemic, we can see that a lot of environmental issues have been highlighted due to this pandemic, due to this horrible virus that is, this invisible threat that is harming us human beings. So winning the Miss Philippines Earth crown would be so relevant because, like I said, my advocacy is in addressing environmental issues through science and research. And if I win, I get to uplift the scientific community and focus a lot more projects and programs for scientific research and data. And with that said, I can help with scientists who are urgently studying things that are relevant today, and they can share their data with the world, and we can proceed faster with the data that they need in order for us to create a better environment and a better world. So with that said, it is very relevant because, like I said, the science community is the way for us to combat something as big as this pandemic. Crowns and titles PH. Some scientists believe they can clone human beings. Should we? That's a really interesting question. I think it would actually have to depend on the situation. Let's say we are almost at the end of the extinction of our race. Then maybe we should, just for us to survive. But I think as of now, we don't need to clone human beings. I don't think that is a priority right now. What we need to prioritize right now is how to combat this virus. That's an interesting question. Really makes you think. I love it. I love it very much. Thank you for that question. Okay, another question from Ames Malyare. Ames Malyare. Do you think it is acceptable for celebrities to voice their opinion on political issues? Well, with that said, it really depends on how they approach it. You always, when you're speaking out and you're a public figure and you're speaking out about something sensitive like political issues, you always have to understand both sides. And you are a public figure, and that means you have a huge voice for people to hear. With that said, it is your responsibility to understand both sides and really not just attack one or the other, but really give your understanding so that people can see each other. It is your job as a public figure to unite people and not cause any more war or any more distinction between others. Okay, any more questions? Another question from Rafael Jimenez. If you could change one thing about the world, what would it be? I would definitely change the fact that climate change is happening. That is the number one culprit right now. That is the biggest bad thing that's happening right now. So if I could change that climate change is happening, if I could change the fact that the way that we are living our lives right now is causing climate change, then I would definitely change it. If the fact that using cars and a lot of fossil fuel won't harm the environment, then that is something that I would change, because this is how we're living right now. This is our lives, and it's gonna be really hard to transform from one type of infrastructure to the other when we want to invest more on renewable energy. But with that said, if I do have to change one thing, it would be that we can stay the way things are and not harm the environment. Okay, another question. Social media has empowered people to express their belief, but sometimes those beliefs are intolerant and dangerous. Should social media platforms respect free speech or regulate what people post? You know, social media platforms, it really is for us to speak our minds freely. But with that comes our responsibility to be able to control the fact that we may harm others. And it shouldn't be other people's responsibility to control you. It should be your responsibility in order for us to not hurt each other with the way that we are saying things and the way that we are expressing things. So social media shouldn't be the one responsible to control free speech. We should be the ones responsible to control what we say and what is out there in social media. So that's my take on it. Ooh, we have a question from Jefferson Fernando. What do you miss most about the old normal? Aw, that really takes me back. I think the one thing that I miss most is being able to go out with my friends and not worry about contracting the virus, and not worry about going to crowded places, and just being safe, and having a good time, like in malls or in restaurants. So that's really what I miss, is hanging out with my friends who come from different parts of the metro. Another question from Catriona Gray. Hey. Given today's worldwide refugee crisis, do countries have an obligation to accept refugees, or do they have a right to close their borders? Wow, that's so deep. So given today's worldwide refugee crisis, I think that it depends on the country that you're in. If your country has a high infectivity rate, then you definitely have the right to close your borders. But if you have the proper resources and the proper technology to be able to control the virus right now, then I think it would be the honorable thing to do, to open up your borders and accommodate these refugees. So, if you have the capabilities to do so, then why not? Ooh, I have a question here from Gianna, Miss Mandaluyong, from also from Miss Philippines Earth. Hi girl, what's the biggest lesson in pageantry that you've learned so far in these past months? Wow! Okay, so the biggest lesson I've definitely learned is to be empathic towards people. Being here in the public eye and having a platform like this on Miss Philippines Earth, I really have to understand where everybody is coming from. I myself have my own beliefs, as anybody has, but I can't just voice them out and offend a lot of people. I have to, like I said, if you're a public figure and if celebrities are speaking out about political issues and any kind of sensitive issues, you have to understand both sides. And I think that people in pageantry and beauty queens really need to be able to learn to empathize with a lot of people and both sides of the coin. Okay, connected to the question before that from Chabs. You will be a national figure if you will win Miss Philippines Earth. How will you handle fame? Wow. I will probably handle fame just by, acknowledging the responsibility that I have. I will now have a voice. I will now have this huge platform in which people will listen to me. So I will use that platform responsibly and really talk more about my passions towards saving the earth and saving the environment. I'm not just gonna, spit out anything irrelevant to my cause, because now that a lot of eyes are on me and a lot of people are listening to what I have to say. So with the fame that I'll be having, I'm gonna use that to my advantage in a way that I can help the earth and I can help the environment. Okay, question. How do you define success? I define success by achieving your truest and deepest dreams. And right now, I think I'm pretty successful because I am a scientist, something that I've wanted to be ever since I was little. I've always wanted to work in the lab. Science has always been my best subject, and I've always really just dreamed of working as a scientist and achieving the world and achieving a lot of things and changing the world for the better through science and research. And that is why my advocacy is so close to my heart, because I want to encourage the youth right now to go into science, to go into STEM, to take up courses like biology, chemistry, physics, and math, just so that we have more people in the front lines against the battle of climate change. We really need more people here in the science community, especially here in our country, because we lack the people. But because a lot of Filipino scientists actually go abroad, and a lot of them go there because the technology is there, the resources are there, and that's why I want to empower the scientific community here in our country so that we can have the resources that we need, we can have the technology that we need, and we can have the funding that we need so that we can continue the research that is so urgent for us to be able to save our environment, especially our marine wildlife. I always like to promote marine wildlife here in our country because we are actually the center for marine biodiversity in the whole world. We have so much untapped resources that is yet to be discovered and yet to be studied, and we can't do that without the proper resources. And that is why this is my dream. I'm living my dream. Okay, another question. But before that, let me just update you. Something really exciting that's happening here in Pasig is that we have a online app called Community Mart, which you can buy from the Pasig Mega Market. So it's like getting your groceries delivered from Pasig Market, and with that you can support local farmers because it's really from the palengke, and it really supports those small businesses in the Pasig Mega Market. So if you guys live in Pasig, to my fellow Pasigueños out there, please do download the app Community Mart, either Android or iPhone, or what's that, iOS? Sorry, I own an Android. But yeah, download it if you can. Okay, another question. You have so many questions, you guys. Okay. Compared to our parents' generation, this is from Catriona Grehe. Compared to our parents' generation, do you think that this generation is more friendly or less friendly to the environment? You know, actually, I definitely think that this generation is more friendly to the environment. Previous generations weren't as educated as we are now towards the harmful effects that we are doing to the environment, and so now that we are more educated, more of this knowledge is being taught in schools, and I think that a lot more people today are more environmentally friendly than our parents' generation or previous generations. But with that said, like I said, it's a continuing process of learning, and I can definitely see that there's an improvement from generations before to generations now. But, you know, we still have a lot more to go. You know, we are still in that stage where it's still, we are still harming the environment. So we have a lot of improvement to go. We have another question. A woman has just awakened after being asleep for 20 years. What do you tell her she missed? We missed so much. You missed so much, honey. For 20 years now, we had the age of low-cut jeans, and then now we're at high-waist jeans. But if I were to tell her what she missed, is that you have missed the fact that the environmental conditions that we have is getting worse. Climate change is getting worse, and that is the most important thing that you have to know. And if you are going to live your life after being awakened after 20 years, if you want to continue living life in society, I believe that you should be more environmentally conscious. Okay, we have here another question from Pasil Salo Sandung. Question: what is the biggest mistake in your life? When I answer this question, it's not always just that one instance. I feel that it was really my biggest mistakes in my life is when I didn't speak up for the right things, and I didn't speak up for others when they needed somebody to speak up for them. And right now, I'm very outspoken. I really say what I need to say. And with that said, I think that I've learned from those previous mistakes, and I've learned from all those instances where I didn't speak up. So I think, yeah, that it would be my biggest mistake, is not being able to speak up for the truth and for what I believe in is right. Leo Dennis Dakina, how do you handle your bashers? I don't really mind them. It's up to them to have their own opinions, and I get it. But I understand that I'm not the typical cookie cutter beauty queen, and that's fine with me. And I'm really just trying to break the mold, because you know, a lot of Filipinas, it's really our trademark that we are morena, we have flat noses, and we have curly hair, and there's not a lot of representation for that. So I'm trying to break that mold so that a lot of young girls that look like me don't think that, you know, they're ugly, and they think, and if somebody like me is up there on the stage representing them, then they think they're beautiful as well. And that's why I want to break that mold. So with that said, I hope that a lot of young girls don't have to turn to chemical straightening or rebonding, because there's really a way for you to take care of your hair and for you to let the curls really happen. And I know you can't see my curls right now, but if you've seen my previous lives or you've seen my previous pictures, that I have naturally curly hair. And before, actually, unfortunately, I used to straighten my hair because that's what I saw on social media and that's what I saw on TV, and it really made me feel bad about myself. So if I can be up there and representing all the curly-haired girls and the Pango Filipinas and the Morena Filipinas who were always told that they were not enough or they were not beautiful enough. I'm here. I'm representing all of you, and you don't have to change anything about yourself. We have about 15 minutes left, so yeah, just drop down your questions. Any more questions? Okay, we have here a lot of questions. We have this saying that practice makes perfect, but nobody's perfect, so why practice? Well, it's not about you being perfect as a person. It's really honing your skills so that you can be the best you can. And the best you can is, in theory, perfect, because that is your 100% and you're giving your all. And I think that is the most wonderful type of perfect that you can be, is being your best self. So it's not really about you being the most perfect person in the whole world. It's really about honing your skills to be the best you can be. Okay, I'd like to give a shout out to Carlos Romero. I haven't seen you in so long. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate the support. I wish that we could see each other soon, and I hope this pandemic would stop. So I have a lot of questions. I really have to pick which ones I can answer because we are running out of time. Okay, another question from Chabs. Social media has become a prominent factor in the way we perceive one another. Do you believe social media has a positive or negative effect on the way we judge beauty? I definitely think it's a double-edged sword. You can perceive something positive and you can see something negative with regards to social media. It can only depend on a simple headline and a few words. So with social media, it can have a positive effect and it can also have a negative effect. Again, it really is our responsibility to speak out the way we are in terms of not hurting anybody and not harming anybody in the process. Who is your role model? Says Edge Aeronet. My role model is the lead guitarist of the band Queen. His name is Brian May. He has a PhD in astrophysics and he is a legendary rock star. So if he can do both, then I can do both. And I really look up to him because of all the achievements he's been doing with regards to helping the environment and helping animals, and the fact that he's able to create such wonderful music. Queen has been always my favorite band, and to be able to meet Brian May would be a dream, and he is definitely my role model because he is doing the best of both worlds right now. Just like Karen Ebasco, actually. She's also one of my role models because of the fact that she's a scientist and she's a beauty queen. So yeah, those are my top 2 role models, you guys. This is from Ames again. What is the most important thing we should teach young girls today? The most important thing we should teach young girls today is to be who you are, who you uniquely are. And the only thing that you can change is your bad behavior, if you do have. You know, it's a learning process to be able to learn what hurts others and what doesn't. So the only thing that you have to do is be the better you that you can be. You don't have to change the way you look, and you don't have to change the way you are for others, as long as you're not hurting anybody. And that is the most important thing that we have to teach young girls today. Marian De Vera asks, I love your top. May I know where did you get it? So this is my top. It has some batik designs right here. This is actually made by my wonderful designer, Alfie Bautista Eufemio. He is my designer right now for the Miss Philippines Earth, and I have been modeling for him since last year. And if you want, you can contact him through Facebook or Instagram, and maybe he can make you a top like this. I think it's really beautiful, and I love the way that he is using Mindanao cloth just to be able to produce his designs, and he's really putting forward the Pinoy pride, and I really love that about him. Okay. Okay, we have a question here from Catriona Grihe. I think this is probably the last question I'll answer, and because we're running out of time. So the last question I'm gonna answer is from Catriona Grehe. What do you think is the most undervalued profession right now, and why? Of course, you guys will think that I'm gonna say Filipino scientists, because they really are undervalued. We don't, as a scientist myself, we don't have the recognition that we have. So what I'm doing right now on the platform of Miss Philippines Earth is I am actually promoting a lot of studies and a lot of scientists right now in my platform, in my eco activities, in my live streams, because again, they are so undervalued. They are the ones that are producing the data and the research just for us to be able to have better lives, so we can have alternative medicines, we can have alternative ways to go about our daily lives, and different and new ways for us to proceed with how we are going through. And of course, the fact that they are the ones producing the data and researching about the interaction in nature and how we can protect and preserve the environment. So with everything that they are doing for us and for our country, they don't have that much recognition. They don't have enough technology, they don't have enough funding, and they don't have enough resources. So that is just such a shame. So of course, my answer is the most undervalued profession right now are the scientists of our country. All right, you guys. Okay, maybe I can answer one more question. If you crown of Miss Earth Philippines, what is the legacy? Oh, are you asking if what would be my legacy if I won the crown? I would probably leave the legacy of being the one that really uplifts the science community, and everything about my reign would be science. And the thing that this project I already have in mind is a moving science museum from city to city, from Luzon to Visayas to Mindanao, or even have their own chapters, so that the youth can actually visit these museums at a very affordable price, of course, and schools can go there to visit for field trips and for a lot of educational trips, just so that the youth can be encouraged to join the science community. Because when I was young, my school exposed me to a lot of scientific museums and a lot of exhibits that really showed the beauty of science, and that is how I got into science myself. Part of the reason why, of course, but of course my dad had a huge influence on why I am in the science community right now. But it really did help seeing the fact that, the application of science and how it is in our daily lives, it really truly made a huge impact on me. So like I said, my reign and my legacy would be all about science, and I would love to talk to a lot of politicians about integrating more of the science community into their laws and programs, so that we can develop more rational and scientific control measures for the environment. Alright, girl. Alright, you guys. Girl. I'm treating you guys like my best friend. So thank you guys for watching. I really do appreciate the support. I love doing these live streams, and I wish you all a safe time. Please do stay at home. If you don't have to go out, please just stay at home. If you do need to go out, don't forget to double the layer of your masks if you're wearing cloth masks, and wear face shields and wear gloves, and stay safe. You can follow me on Instagram if you want, and you can follow me on Twitter if you want. It's all at Iris MABANTA. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it.